I was listening to a homily yesterday by Father Patrick Cahill. It's on a YouTube channel called Paving the Way Home, and the homily is Why Be Catholic? And I suppose something very interesting in this video is that he's talking about a conversation he had with a marketing executive on a flight once, and she asked him, well, what is the USP of the Catholic Church? What is the unique selling point of the Catholic Church? Because there's no company out there that makes a product that says, well, our product is exactly the same as every other company that makes this type of product. No, ours has to have something unique, and that's why we're asking people to buy it. Now, the Catholic faith obviously isn't a product. It's freely given, but there is this kind of attitude, as Father was saying, and I'll put this video here afterwards, that over the last 30 years, like, all religions are the same and every opinion is the same, and if you don't want to be religious, that's fine, and if you do, that's fine. And we seem to, and I suppose that type of attitude in Ireland has caused us, to really, not sell the Catholic faith as we should do. And I don't think personally that the Catholic faith is a product that needs to be sold. You don't need to sell anything. It's our Lord didn't come and ask us to sell a product. He asked us to proclaim the gospel. That He, Christ, is the way, the truth, and the life. And in the church, we will encounter Christ, in the sacraments, confession, and the Holy Eucharist, and we will encounter the risen Lord there. I sometimes, I listen to homilies some priests give around Ireland, and I'm wondering, what are we talking about here? Like, where are we going with the faith in Ireland? You often see in Catholic media circles in Ireland, okay, there's a vocational crisis in Ireland, and we don't have priests and so forth. We don't have a vocational crisis in Ireland. We have a faith crisis in Ireland. Christ, as Father Patrick was saying, was very direct. You just have to pick up the Gospels, the word of the Word of God, and read it and understand that Christ was very, very direct in what He was asking us to do. Christ didn't come to say, well, I am actually one of the ways, and if you want, follow me. But like Buddha and Islam and all of this, they're fine as well. Like, you'd be okay there as well. Like, off you go and try that. And if you don't want to believe in me, don't worry. Like, you'd be fine there as well. Like, and sure, whatever floats your boat, whatever your conscience says, that's fine as well. That's not what Christ came to say. Christ came to say He had a very, very direct message. And that message wasn't popular. It wasn't received by everyone. But that was the message He came to give. Either we preach that message or we don't preach that message. But we seem to be of the opinion, according to the Catholic Priest Association, that we can no longer be dogmatic about our faith anymore. This is the prevailing, Catholic, wind that blows in the church today here in Ireland, is we can't be dogmatic about the faith. And we seem to have priests that don't care, don't live, don't know the faith. Christ was very direct in what He said. I am the way. He didn't say I am one of many ways, or I am one of a number of ways. I am the way. And what's the unique selling point of the Catholic faith if we're not here to proclaim the truth of the Catholic Church? The message of the gospel. Especially, to treat the Eucharist with love and reverence, and to help souls grow in the graces that come from the Eucharist. We are in a fight today. There's no doubt about it. There is a spiritual battle, and Christ spoke about spiritual battles. We are in a spiritual battle today. And there are many in the church that have given in, that don't love or live the faith anymore, and just want to be Mr. Father Popular, in the local parish church. You know, I'll get my name in a newspaper, or, you know, I'll go to this ecumenical service, or I'll do this outreach to that religious group. Fine, but I mean, your church is emptying of baptized Catholics. Baptized Catholics are not believing. So, you know, it's good to see priests talk it like this, but we need more of this. We need more priests to stand up and say, this is our faith. And to say, well, this is our faith, and we know not everybody's going to agree with us, but if you do agree with us, this is how you live the faith. And if you don't agree with us, well, please go and find something else. You know, Christ didn't come to say, go and preach the gospel and you will be popular and everybody will believe in this message and you will have no problems. He didn't. Christ himself said there will be division about the gospel. You know, simply that is what Christ our Lord said. You know, he came to divide, in a sense. And there's always been this division in the world. You know, a division about following Christ or not following Christ, about living the gospel or not living the gospel. And many people don't agree with that. And sadly, you know, in the Catholic Church, sadly, there are many people who proclaim to follow and live the gospel, but don't actually do it. And there's been, you know, many in the church have lost moral authority by handling abuses and so forth. I mean, we'll always have downfalls and there will always be human failings. But at the end of the day, you know, we have to understand there is a truth to be proclaimed. There is a gospel to be proclaimed, and we must proclaim it. So, you know, fair play to Father Patrick. You know, I don't think that type of message is very popular in Ireland. And sadly, you know, it's not popular in the world to say this, to say that there is one truth, there is one religion, you know, to say that Christ is the only path to salvation. You know, that's not a popular message to preach today. But if we don't preach it, we are really failing as Catholics to live up to, you know, Christ's message. You know, what was the point of him coming to give us the Gospels? What was the unique selling point of Christ's message? Eternal salvation, you know. And he came to say, I am their way. And we must, as Catholics, preach that faith. So anyway, I'm going to put this video after this so that you can hear it. And I'll link it in below on the YouTube channel. And I just think, I hope more priests come out and say this, because we need to challenge this world with the truth of Christ. We need to challenge people with Christ's message, because if we don't, then we're really not following Christ. You know, Christ didn't come to say that you could do whatever you like or follow whatever you like, or, you know, live whatever way you liked. He asked us to be his disciples and to follow him, you know, and to love him and to spread his message. So, you know, if we don't do that, really we're failing. We're failing many people in Ireland today. And, you know, I can just, you know, speaking personally, you know, the times in my life when, you know, you walk away from the faith, or you find you don't find, you know, there's things of this world don't fill you, will never fill you. You know, you can have the biggest house and the biggest car and all the money you like, but you're never going to be happy, because these are temporary things that last for 2 or 3 years, you know. And at the end of the day, if you don't understand your faith, you will never understand the message that Christ gave in the gospel. And so now is the time in Ireland that we need to rise up and renew our faith, to renew the Eucharist, because, you know, it's not right to, you know, to relegate our faith to, you know, something online. You know, that's never what Christ envisaged. You know, this virus, you know, 99.8% of the world is going to survive COVID-19. This virus isn't going to kill millions and millions and millions of people. You know, and we're not all eternal souls here on this earth. We're all going to die at one stage or the other. And just because COVID-19 has come doesn't mean we you know, we're no longer able to preach the gospel. We should stand up and preach it. So anyway, thanks, Father Patrick, and let's hope we hear more of this. And I think it's, you know, it's right to question what is the unique selling point of our faith? It's right to ask those questions, and then to ask, well, what are we going to do about it? How are we going to restore the faith in Ireland?
A theme which comes up very often, I think, when I'm preaching anyway, is the idea of understanding our faith as adults. It's something that I come across almost every day, that even with young adults, or maybe people even into their 50s and 60s, faith formation often stopped at confirmation. So they may not have an adult's understanding of the faith at all. So they learn the faith, and as you need to adapt the understanding of the faith to a child's level. So you keep things nice and simple. But then we don't get an understanding of the faith from the perspective of an adult later on in life, as we should. The danger with that then is that our understanding of faith can be quite childish, and then doesn't stand up to the rigor of real life and of examination. So it's very interesting when we look at Gospels from the perspective of adults. And every now and again, just to kind of dive in a little deeper, we have two younger people with us here today, but I'll try and keep them on board as well. But it is important to look at these things also from the perspective of adults. So Jesus speaks very, very clearly, right? Jesus speaks very actually bluntly at times. Now, the way we learn about our faith in primary school is that, Jesus is good and kind and merciful and gentle and all that kind of thing, which is true. But he's also just, and he's also, while merciful, he's able to tell people off when they're out of line for their good. Okay? He also speaks quite a lot about the devil and hell. Jesus does. This isn't me now. This isn't the church of the 50s or anything. Like, this is what Jesus says, right? So in the gospel of today, Jesus speaks about the sower. Okay, so the sower goes out to sow his seed. Some of the seed lands on the edge of the path. Birds of the air come down and eat that seed. Who are the birds of the air? They are the demons. Jesus says so. Right? So Jesus speaks about the fact that there's a spiritual battle going on around us. Okay, this isn't a game. This is serious stuff, and there's the enemy out there who wants to take this word from my heart. A number of years ago, I was on a flight to Slovakia, and I was sitting beside an Austrian girl. She was flying into Bratislava to drive back to Vienna, and I was just talking to her about how things were in Ireland, and we were over on holidays or working. She said, "Oh, I work in Ireland." I said, "Great." I said, "What do you work at?" And she said, "I work in marketing." And I said, "Fantastic." And then I just thought, what would you do? What kind of tactic would you have if you had to market the church? I don't know where the question came from, because I never really thought about it. But when I was talking to her, I said, if you had to market the church, what would you do? And she said, well, in standard marketing practice, any product that you advertise, anything that you want to sell, has to have a unique selling point, what they call a USP, unique selling point, right? Like, why do you buy Mercedes? Well, you buy them because they're comfortable, they have wooden interior and leather seats. Why do you buy Toyotas? Because they're very, very reliable. Why do you buy Lamborghinis? Because they are insane. You know what I mean? But like, there are reasons to buy different cars. You don't buy a Lamborghini to pull a trailer. Everyone knows that. Okay. So, point being, like, all cars have a unique. Even like, for example, I won't go too much into this, but the Volkswagen Group, they own Seat, Volkswagen, Audi, Lamborghini, and a couple of others. But those cars don't compete with each other. Seat, they're for kind of your younger drivers. Volkswagen, they're for your farmers. Down the road, solid, out, good quality cars. Skoda's in, similar to that, just a small bit cheaper. Audis, then they're your business executives, right? Slightly more upmarket, okay? And then your Lamborghinis, the same opening and closing window switches, but apart from that, absolutely insane. They're for your soccer players and but they're all owned by the same company, but they know not to compete with. Okay, you get the point. Unique selling point, right? Each group, each car is aiming at a slightly different part of the market, okay? That's how business works. Okay, apply that to our faith. What is the unique selling point of our faith? This question came to me when I was in that flight. What is the unique selling point? Or she asked me, actually, what's the unique selling point of the Catholic Church? And I just thought, Mamma mia. For the last 30 years, we've been telling people that there's nothing unique about the church at all. that what's important is that you have some belief. You have some belief in God. There's some belief in an afterlife or a higher power or something. And once you believe in something, you're grand. You're a good person. You're spiritual. Okay? And fill in the blanks with whatever you want. Now that is absolute rubbish. Okay? And not only is it rubbish, that's absolutely, and pardon the bluntness of my expression, but that is absolutely diabolical. Because anything that messes around, that plays with or risks your eternal salvation is diabolical. And to tell people that all religions are the same is absolute rubbish, right? If you'll find a poster somewhere, right? Look them up and Google them afterwards. Compare world religions. They're completely different. And ask Muslims, are all world religions the same? They don't think so. Okay? Ask Protestants, are you the same as Catholics? I don't think so. Okay? Ask your Buddhists and your Hindus, are all world religions? Ask Mormons, are all world religions the same? Nobody thinks that. No other world religion thinks that. How on earth did that become popular in the church? Dare I say, it's actual cowardice. It's just plain cowardice. If I were to say, hello lads and ladies, this is my dear wife, she's amazing, she's beautiful, but I don't want to look like I'm partial in any way, so all women are beautiful, all women are amazing and equally as amazing as my wife, but you're all beautiful in your own way. Will I be applauded now for my openness to all women? Or will I be kind of scorned and definitely kicked or elbowed by herself for my lack of courage in saying, this is my wife and I love her? Doesn't mean I hate all of ye, right? I don't hate every other woman in the world, but this is my wife. So I'm allowed to have a particular love for her. Actually, I should have a particular love for her. Just because we believe that our faith is true doesn't mean we hate every other world religion. Of course not. If I was born in Iraq, chances are I'd be Muslim. Okay? So it doesn't mean we hate other world religions, but we still can have the courage and conviction to say that what we believe is true. Now, okay, that's the unique selling point. We haven't really got to what the unique selling point of our faith is yet, which I think is really important for us to understand. Because we don't want this to turn into, this isn't about sectarianism or anything, but it's just about, let's look at facts. Okay? What is the unique selling point of our faith? In our faith, God reveals himself to us. This is what God says about himself. Okay, this isn't a spiritually wise or inspired guru who has some understandings about God, writes them down, followers join him, and away we go. This isn't the thought of man. This isn't the fruit of a bunch of people getting together and sitting down with their amazing intellects and putting together a faith. This is God revealing himself. And that's really, really important, because it doesn't depend on me. This isn't my opinion versus yours. This is what God says about himself. No other world religion claims to have God revealing themselves. I mean, is God a person, or three persons in our case, right? Or is he energy? It's not the same thing. You know, if I see Nora there, like is Nora a woman, or is she just kind of energy? Well, if she's just energy, that's very, very different. I can't say hello, good morning to energy. You know, I mean, is our God a person or not? Was Jesus Christ truly God, truly man, or not? Did he die on a cross or not? Is everyone who's saved through the cross or not? Is Jesus Christ the source of all grace or not? Is the Eucharist Jesus' body, blood, soul, and divinity or not? These things are really, really clear that either they are or they aren't. But to say all world religions are the same is just plain rubbish. It's historical rubbish, it's theological rubbish, it's logical rubbish. Because they don't believe the same things. They can't all be the same. They can't all be equal. And some of them have really wacky ideas, which we won't go into. Okay. Point being, though, that our unique selling point, the reason people should be Catholic and the reason we should have a desire that people will be Catholic is because here they receive the truth of how God reveals himself to mankind. This is what God says about himself. It means it's solid. It means like the Pope can't go changing every belief. I've met a number of people in recent months who think, yeah, the Pope can change this, or the Pope can change that, or he can change the sacraments, or whatever. It doesn't work. The Pope actually can't. When it comes to the Church's teaching, the Pope actually can't change it. He can clarify things, but he can't change Church teaching. You can't say, well, the Bible says this, but I'm going to say this. You can't. The Pope can't do that. It's not within his power, right? It's not like a political party. So it's not within his power. So the faith that the Lord reveals to us is solid. We can count on it. And that's what makes our faith so unique and so dependable and so beautiful. God speaks to us through his teaching. He speaks to us today through his gospel, through the words of our first reading, through the liturgy. The Lord will come and dwell within us in the Eucharist. When I think of how we should relate to other world religions, I often think of what Our Lady would do. When Our Lady sees Muslims or Hindus or Buddhists, what does she think? I mean, she loves them. She wants them to know her Son, though. She wants them to get to heaven. She wants them to be able to draw from all the graces available to us. But it doesn't mean she doesn't like them. Of course not. So with us, other world religions, we don't hate them. We want them to get to heaven. We want them to know the peace of the sacrament of confession, for example. We want them to know the grace of the Holy Eucharist. We want them to know God as he reveals himself.